This past summer, I did a 2-week solo canoe trip in the Temagami region of Northern Ontario. For my cooking system, I purchased the Campstove 2 bundle from Biolite. Not only that, but I went for the gusto and took only this cooking system. Stay tuned to hear my thoughts after 2 weeks of hard use of the Biolite Campstove 2 bundle.
So 2 weeks with a Biolite in the backcountry. What are my thoughts? I am new to the Biolite world. I will preface this video with that statement. I used a Biolite a little bit last year when I went on a canoe trip with my brother-in-law. He swears by them. So I went for the gusto and I bought the Biolite Campstove 2 package. I didn't bring the grill because I'm trying to travel light. So let's talk about some pros and cons of this system. Let's start with the pros. So when I was going on this trip, I wanted to make sure that I was going to have enough fuel for the whole trip. So that was one of the nice bonuses of the Biolite system, is that as long as you are in the bush, you have access to fuel. So that was one thing. The weight stayed the same as well, so I didn't have to worry about adding on, in addition to the weight of the stove, extra fuel canisters to account for the extra length of trip. Generating the electricity, that was certainly a pro as well. I brought a number of devices, my phone for videos and pictures, my GoPro camera, and also my emergency communicator beacon, Garmin. So I was able to charge those and keep them working throughout my 2 weeks. Constant access to fuel. So that was certainly one of the nice things, is not having to bring fuel canisters. So those are kind of the big three, and it's rugged, it's tough, it's held up. I am not gentle with my things out here. It's been in bags and thrown around and kicked around the campsite, and it's held up to that. It seems like a small thing, but the fact that the stove nests inside of itself and then inside of the kettle, really well designed, as is the kettle itself. It's a little heavy by comparison to some of the titanium options that are out there. However, as I said, because everything nests inside of the kettle, it packs well, and the kettle is designed to go with the stove instead of some of the lighter options that you might be able to buy. It nests inside of the top of the stove, and because the bottom of the kettle is hollow, it also allows you to have some slightly taller stock that sticks out of the firebox so that you can burn some slightly larger wood. Those are kind of the big three. Didn't have to pack fuel, generated electricity, and was rugged and held up. The cons: it's heavy. So by comparison to a gas stove, this definitely tips the scales higher. However, depending on the length of trip, this is a fixed weight. So you know what you're getting into, and you don't have to buy extra canisters for a longer trip. This is going to be the same. Generating the electricity, it went up and down. It depended a lot on the wood. So campsite to campsite, it certainly changed depending on what was available. Some campsites I had access to excellent wood and nice dry tinder and all those things. Good hot fire, charge things really quickly, or quickly by backcountry standards. I have an iPhone 8, and I want to say that it was charging kind of 1% every few minutes. It was enough that I was able to keep these devices going for 2 weeks. The other thing that is a con is that if you're not right on top of the fire management, it can go out really quickly, because it's fed by the little fan that's generating some serious wind in there, and it burns through the wood really fast. So here I am taking a video, and my fire's nearly gone out. The other thing that I find is a little frustrating is if you aren't really careful with your fire management, then you end up with a lot of smoke, and that's why I sound congested, because I've been getting a face full here. The other thing is that if you're not careful, as I said, the wood doesn't ignite right away, and then sometimes the fire goes out, and you have to kind of introduce your own oxygen in addition to the fan inside to get it going again. or to get it so that it's not smoking in your face. So if you like that sort of thing, well, then this might just be the stove for you. The other thing that I would say is a con is it's slow. Slow in the standards that if you want to get up, get packed, get breakfast cooking as you're doing your thing, that's not going to happen. You need somebody manning this. So as far as solo travel, it might not really be your cup of tea. However, if you were cooking over an open fire, you'd have the same challenges. Those are some of the things that I found were positives and negatives with this system. Would I take it again on a future longer solo trip? I don't know. Now that I have one, I guess maybe. If I was going with a group of 2, much more likely. Yeah, another con is if you don't have access to dry firewood, it'll be a rough night. But again, that's the same as cooking over an open fire.
In looking ahead to future plant-powered solo adventures, I do plan on taking the Campstove 2 again. It did an excellent job of keeping my devices charged, and while there were some challenges with solo use, I think the pros outweigh the cons. If you found this video helpful, please feel free to leave me a comment down below, and thanks for watching.